Hello, Rebels. Welcome back to the Embodied Woman. I'm so excited.
Rebels. Oh, my
Rebels. We got all the rebels here. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for my very special guest for you today. You may know her as the content queen. I know that's how most people know her as I recognized you. I texted my friend today. I was like, today's my podcast interview with the content queen.
Oh my God. Yay. I'm so freaking honored. The content queen was something I was like, I wanted to be. So I just like claimed it. And then it's cool. You kind of can claim it and become it. So.
And you sure as hell did.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
Me too. So why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do?
Love it. So I like to say that I am a spiritual teacher masquerading as a marketing coach, which basically means that I feel like I'm on this planet to really help heal people in a big way and to support the people who are here to help heal people in a big way. And I think one of the ways that we do that is through our content. So I work with people who are here to influence the masses, who have like a big message, and they are looking for deep support in the journey of becoming a sacred influencer and growing their online business and serving a lot of people and serving larger rooms and becoming visible. And a lot of my clients are, their ancestors were burnt at the stake for their messages, and now today they're leading these massive movements, and they're speaking their truth, and they're making millions and doing it all from a place of deep alignment, flow, and integrity. And so I support with the deep emotional inner work that it takes to really tell the truth on the internet, as well as like helping people really open their channel, really unleash messages that penetrate, that like really speak to the heart of their soulmate clients, and like really like cut through the noise. And yeah, that's what I do. And like making more money is the natural byproduct of that. And I have a background in marketing, so I know every single strategy out there, and nothing is as powerful as just telling the truth. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, so there's so much that I already want to dive into on that, but before we do, tell us your story. How did you become the content queen? How did you get into the coaching industry and really step into your authenticity and really paving the way for people to be fucking real on the internet?
I love this. So I was a spiritual little kid. Like I remember I would convince my friends in the neighborhood like that we could do like a dance to summon a snow day, and like just weird shit. So
oh my God.
I was always very just kind of like magical, but my family was very like I'm the daughter of two lawyers in Washington DC, like pretty conventional. Like I went to a top school, like just a very conventional path. So I ended up working in marketing, and then in 2012 I went through just like the worst breakup ever, like the kind of breakup where you're just like, I don't even know who I am, like what the fuck did I just do? Like it was really wild. And I was just like, it was like a total ego death, and I like kind of didn't know what to do with myself. And I ended up joining this women's circle at my local yoga studio, and together we were all reading the book The Artist's Way, which is all about like unleashing your creativity. And through that, I met somebody who was a coach, and like just my entire world kind of opened up in this sacred circle of women finding their voice. And so soon after that, I decided to sign up for a coach training program. I started just like posting on my personal Facebook page, just like inspirational quotes or like whatever. I had this little like fashion blog called Rubin Hood. My last name is Rubin, but I go by Rebecca Ives. So I don't know, we're just like the randomest. So I was just sort of following like the tendrils of my curiosity, right?
Yeah.
So I did that coach training program. I started to be like, I guess my first niche, if you will, was like sort of a life coach, but particularly like I got a bunch of clients in the DC area who were like post breakup, and we'd like meet up at Starbucks and just like, I was just a good listener basically. But like that's where I got my start coaching. And then it was slow in the beginning. And then I was working at this marketing agency and had been for, I guess, like 7 years at this point. And I was starting to build this like online thing, and people would ask me like, how are you doing it? How are you getting clients? People in my coach training program were like, how do you know how to do all of these things? So I pivoted to being a marketing coach. And then I was more like a cookie cutter marketing coach in the beginning. And then in 2016, I was traveling. I did this program called Remote Year, where you live in 12 countries in 12 months.
Oh my gosh, that sounds fun.
It was very fun. And then, well, it was also hard. It was both.
Yeah.
But I had like another deep, like kind of soul awakening where like I got to this point where I was like, kind of like, I can't with the internet. I can't with all the fake stuff. I can't keep pretending to be this like positive, perfect, always successful, always on like image of what we're supposed to be. And so I remember I can't even remember what the post was, but I was vulnerable AF in a post, and it got so much engagement. I know what it was. I talked about this, like, I was in this group program, and I remember what it was. I sold in the group. I didn't know it was like against the rules. And I got huge amounts of backlash for selling in the group. And I felt like I was like bullied basically in this like spiritual women's group. So I talked about it on the internet, and I was just really vulnerable. And I got this like flood of love. Like it was insane. It was my first time, like, I guess, going viral, if you will.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, when I'm really honest and take an emotional risk in my content, like something happens, and it's not just content getting engagement. It's like I'm healing people with my words. And that was like a pivot in like how I saw content creation. And then, since then there have been many twists and turns and upgrades and whatever, but like that was a really pivotal moment. And right after that, I launched my first course, Content Queen. So that was when I first started to like claim that I got the name. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know. It's not one core brand story. We're always like living stories, but
Totally.
Today I have this like very fulfilling, delicious business.
Yeah. So incredible.
And I focus more on Instagram now. I got my start on Facebook, but I'm pretty much like Instagram is my spot these days.
Yeah. Instagram, like, I mean, I've been following you for a while, and just seeing even just your evolution of like, even recently, I know you spoke a bit about this earlier.
I've been spicy.
Yeah, you have. And it's so fucking beautiful because, one, you're talking about like your own experience, and something that I really appreciate is like you just speak of your own experience without projecting onto everyone else or shaming anyone else. Like it feels just like, this is just my experience, and I'm going to talk about it because it's real. And people can feel, I mean, thank you, right? Because like you said, your words are healing people, and you're bringing light to a lot of shit that
I got this image recently, like sage sticks, like you sage a room.
Yeah.
I was like, last month I like saged the coaching industry. You did. That's how it felt to me a little bit. And it wasn't the most comfortable experience ever, but I feel lighter. And I know my DMs are full of people who are like, thank you for speaking to this. Like, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was just deeply inadequate. Like, I'm just like, fuck. Like, and here's the thing, like, I see all sides of every situation. And I actually I think a very tiny percent of people in the coaching industry have malicious intent. Totally. But I also think like when we have a big following, we have an impact. And so it's important to get curious and be like, I would be horrified if I was like supremely negatively impacting the people who follow me to like grow their soul. You know what I mean? So yeah. Well,
I like that you said earlier too, like sacred influencer. I wrote that word down because that really stood out to me. Talk because that has to do with the impact and the influence that your people and our people and the people in the coaching industry are having.
Yeah.
So what is that sacred influence?
So for me, it feels like I'm going to turn off this fan now.
Yeah, go for it.
I have ADHD and I just am a little like, ooh, squirrel, what's going on? So, okay. What is a sacred influencer? It's somebody whose soul has incarnated onto this planet at this particular time with specific gifts, who are here to add a nutrient to the collective. Like, we're here to alter the fabric of the world. We're here to, through our experience, through our message, like, this planet will be lighter as a result of us being here. And at this moment in time, that looks like an online business and it looks like an Instagram platform, but it's like literally through our life experience and through our channel, we're blasting light out to the collective. And because we exist, there's less suffering in the world.
That's so special. Because we exist, there's less suffering in the world. Yeah. And I think a lot of the people who are listening to this right now feel that, resonate with that, because that is, even just as you're speaking, as soon as you said sacred influencer, I was like, that's it right there, right? Like, we are all here because without even really knowing, right? Like, we were, all of us really just followed the breadcrumbs to get to where we're at right now. But we kept hearing that little voice saying, like, there's something more, you're meant for more, there's something bigger impact that you're meant to have. At least that's how it's continued to felt for me in my unfolding, and I'm sure for you.
So beautiful. I love it. And another thing is like this concept of like sacred fame. So fame can be a dirty word for a lot of people. Fame has a lot of the same stuff that money can have and sex can have. Like, fame's a charged word. And I think, we've had some fame templates that have been a little corrupt and a little bit like hierarchical, and just have like these old codes embedded in them. And I think there's a new pure iteration of fame that's like, it's not fame for me, it's fame for the collective. Like, it's like really beautiful, like crystalline fame, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm speaking your language.
Yeah, you are.
Like it's like really beautiful, and it's not coming from ego, it's coming from soul. And I'm really passionate about that also.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the word fame, because I was gonna say, I was like,
let's talk about fame. Do you want to be famous?
Yeah, you're already famous.
What?
You're already famous.
Thank you. I mean, what even is fame? But I think it's being known. It's the courage to be known by more people and be in relationship with more people. And like, every single follower, you are in a relationship with that. And I think one of the biggest things that block people from more visibility is that their core relationship template, or the relationship that they have with their online community, is not rooted in deep emotional safety, honoring, respect. And so, like, I'll talk to people who just have like just a lot of emotional pain in their relationship with Instagram and content and their followers. And when we get down to the root of it, it's like, I feel like the algorithm is my super critical dad, or I feel like my followers in my DMs are like my mom, who I could never do enough to please, or, you know what I mean? People have these like old templates, old relationship templates with their following, and it's like, it's so deep. And so people will often come to me like, oh, I want more engagement, I want to grow my following, which is beautiful, I love it. Like, my signature program is all about like growing your Instagram influence. And I find the way to do that is, it's a deep healing journey. I mean, tactics are beautiful. Like, yeah, you can like use hashtags and you can do these things on the outside, but when you actually just become a really pure leader and channel, like, it doesn't matter what you do on any algorithm. When you're actually just blasting through a frequency of divine love, like, the people who are a match to you will flock. Like, it's just how it works.
Yeah. And I'm curious what your take is on the amount of followers versus the quality in a sense, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Because I think that so many people in the space are like, oh, well, I need more followers. I need more followers. I need more followers. And like, where there is some truth in like having a large following of incredible aligned people is
Mhm.
awesome. There's a little bit of a discrepancy there if you're just saying, I want more followers. I want more followers, right?
Yeah. And I think that question is super interesting because I would ask them, are you ready for more followers?
Mm,
I get that everybody's ego wants a bunch of people to tell them how smart and genius and helpful and amazing they are, but there's also like there's a lot of responsibility if you actually want like a pure following that's in alignment with your values. And I think I hear that people want more followers, but are you actually ready to be a leader and a sacred guide for more souls, more real human beings? Like, are you up for it? Are you devoted? Are you willing to show up? Like, are you like, it's so much deeper is basically my general thoughts on Instagram. And it's like, I see my Instagram as like a temple.
mm,
And it's like people are trusting their psyches with me. People in deep pain on the edge of major transformation, like their precious psyches. A lot of people are looking to me for guidance, and that's a responsibility. And do
yeah.
I trust myself with that responsibility? I think when we ask deeper questions, we get better answers. And so I think of that, I mean, I totally get like wanting to grow your follow, like get it deeply, deeply. And it's just so I get curious. I'm like, what's underneath this? Why
Yeah.
do you want it? Like, what are you ready for it? How could we get you more ready for it? Like, you know what I'm saying?
100%. And I think that a lot of people look at it because Instagram is its own little world where like followers, like people have this conditioning that followers equals more money, followers equals more fame, followers equals more approval or more love or more validation. Like it's like we're attaching these meanings to
Mm.
these human beings.
Totally. And often I also like to ask myself, the part of me that has this desire or is setting this goal, like, is this a young part of me or is it like a soul part of me? Right. So if it's coming from the part of me that was like uncool in the fourth grade and desperately wanted to be popular, if my goals are coming from that place, there's a lot of wound there. And so when there's a lot of wound in our goals, it first of all, it just slows down, like it just slows down the speed, but it also just like goals set from wound, like that wound wants to be reconciled. So it's gonna reconcile. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And I think that a lot of people don't even address, right? Like the why behind wanting this goal, but the energy behind it too, right? Like where is this actually coming from? And I think that that's such a powerful tool of like, is this coming from like, fourth grade version of me who, just wanted to feel accepted, or is this
Mhm.
coming from that pure, raw, sacred desire?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's this quote, I don't know who said it, but like life supports what supports life.
Mm,
And so like the universe like I think a lot of people are in a phase of being purified and they're like, why am I not growing faster? And it's like because you're being purified right now. Because if
mm,
you were to grow really big where you currently are, it would just the wounds would just spread out. And so like it's protecting you and it's protecting other people. And you're in a purification process. That's what I think.
yeah. Oh, I love that. I feel like my word for that is a like clearing. It's like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
I don't mean purified like Christianity purity culture. I just mean like, yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense?
It totally makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, those things have to be addressed and looked at. And like I like the word that you say, curiosity, right? Like you have to get curious.
Gentle, loving curiosity.
So good. So
we're never doing anything wrong. And the fourth grade version of us is desire for more influence is like super fucking valid. I never want to like fame shame someone. I think there's a lot of like, oh, you want to be famous? Like I am not. I'm like, yeah, you want to be famous. Like that's so hot. And let's get you there and let's see what spiritual work there is. So I'm not a fame shamer. I think fame is beautiful.
We love it. We love the fame. Okay, so I really want to talk to you about speaking your truth on the internet, because Instagram was never a space to really do that. Like it was much more, I mean, think of the history of it, right? It was like for photographers, and then it became more of a connection for friends, and now it's this big platform for influence. And when influencers first became a thing, the standard was perfection. It wasn't real, it wasn't true, it was as much edited and all of that.
Totally.
And then Rebecca comes in and just like bulldozes that. Oh so I'd love to get your take on that. And how was that journey for you of like, did you feel any sense of pressure to live up to those expectations?
I hated Instagram at first. Yeah. That's why I feel like I can teach an Instagram course, because I'm like, you guys, I felt like I wasn't a good enough designer. My lifestyle wasn't pretty and perfect enough. I wasn't doing enough exciting things. I'm kind of a homebody. I live like in Maryland, outside DC. I'm like, like my life is like coaching calls and going to the Starbucks drive-through and cuddling with my husband and my puppy and like, seeing friends, but I'm not like jet setting around the world 24. Like my life, I love the fuck out of my life, but it didn't look, at least at this season when I really got into Instagram, it didn't look like what I thought I was conditioned to believe. So there's so many things, but okay. So I'm trying to, what was your exact question?
I have no idea, honestly.
Okay. Well, basically
your experience. Yeah.
So there was definitely the phase of like everything. And I think, some people aesthetics are just like a part of their code and so beautiful and important. And
yep, that's
yeah, you're like, your stuff is gorgeous. And I think that's amazing. And I think some people like it's just a little bit like not as important for them or whatever. But what I do see is sometimes like what do I want to say? You got to know why people come to you, and people aren't coming to my feed because every single thing is so perfectly polished. People are coming to me because they're like, oh shit, she says the things that like I'm thinking about. I'm talking on my coaching sessions or to my business bestie or whatever, but like, she's just saying them like, how dare she? But also like, fuck, thank you. Like that's sort of my vibe. I think it's knowing your vibe. Okay, you asked me about telling the truth on Instagram. So let me just say, I think the biggest blocks to telling the truth on Instagram is a fear of losing love. Like, it's like, oh, well, if I really say this, am I going to embarrass my family? Are my old friends going to judge me? How will my partner feel? What if my clients take it the wrong way? What if like we're in this web of relationships, and on top of that, there are a lot of social constructs that we all follow. We just follow them, right? Because this is how you stay safe and be loved, and we're programmed. And so a lot of times what's real for us in our truth is it's kind of like an FU to the programming. And it's like, it's rebellion. Like, I love that you started this with rebels. It's sometimes our truth is like a rebellion against our conditioning. It could feel threatening to certain relationships. And so it's much easier to not tell the truth than to tell the truth. And so my journey was just, the more you use your authentic voice, the stronger it gets and the more trust you have in it. And the more you do this, it's kind of like it does purify your field a little bit. And so like, I have lost a lot of friends, and I have gone through some deep stuff with my family, and I'm not in the same romantic relationship I was when I started this business, but everything is so much better now and so much purer. And there's just like, when you tell the truth, your truth is like fire. It can be like fire, and it burns away what's not meant to be in your life. And people are in varying degrees of readiness for the consequences of their truth.
Yep.
And people want to grow their audience, but they're afraid of the pain of the consequences of telling the truth. And at a certain point, you have to decide what's most important to you. And like, I've fully devoted my life to honoring my soul, fully, completely, no matter what. And so the decision has already been made. And I've made that decision over and over and over and over again over many years. And so now it doesn't feel that hard for me.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it does, but it's also just kind of like, this is who I am, and the people who can hang. And you know, I've developed a lot of like skillfulness and navigating conversations and emotions and all of that. So
yeah, it's like creating a sense of normalcy with being a rebel and going against what's familiar to society and what's safe for society.
Yes.
And I know as a people pleaser, I have huge people pleasing tendencies. Like it was like when I first started my business, every single thing was, okay, like, what will my dad think? What will my mom think? What will my sister think? What will my boyfriend think? What will my boyfriend's friends think? What will this, like, it was just this constant constriction of what I just wanted to say.
Yeah.
And I just, the more you show up and speak to things from your truth, I just have, I mean, I'm sure you've heard this, but I need to say it to you. Like, you give permission for so many other people to say the shit that they were holding out on saying because of the fear of what people are going to think. And
it's my deep honor. Like, I'm tearing up. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
That's why I do it. I feel like we're all like soul sisters, and I'm just like, hey, let's like break out of this like constraints together and just be like free and like dance around.
Yeah, let's go dance in a forest.
Dance in a forest. Thank you. It's my deepest honor, truly.
Yeah, I mean, even this past weekend, I was on a walk with my boyfriend. this okay, we're getting really real here. So,
is there anything else? I like getting really real. That's my favorite thing in the world.
We're here for it. We're walking to a coffee shop, and I just say, I'm like, isn't it crazy? Like, think about how beautiful it would be if just like everyone really just like did what they wanted to do without worrying about what everyone was going to think. And nobody judged another person for living that way because they were doing it too, right? Like, they were not judging themselves or living for other people too. I was like, what a beautiful world that would be in. And then we go to the coffee shop, and you know, you have your first cup of coffee, and then like your intestines start going blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And he's like, go. And I'm like, no, I'm just gonna hold it. I'm gonna wait till we get home.
Oh my God.
and then I was like, no.
I'm so proud of you. Did you poop in a coffee shop for the first time? Good job. I love it so much. Like,
it was so funny because he totally called me out on it too. He was like, I thought you didn't care what people think. And I was like, you're right.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And I love that we just went there. That's so good. But there's such a key, which is we're the first domino of not judging ourselves.
Yeah.
Because other people's judgment, like when it really bothers us, it's because we already were judging ourselves in that place. And it's just like poking at like ouchy shame, basically. And so when we take our own side and we're like the first, then it's like we create this force field of like protection around us, because it doesn't matter if somebody else judges.
Yeah. And I love that you said the first domino too, because I think of like, and like coding your DNA with something entirely new. It's not, well, you've got to live for other people and what will people think. It's I live for my soul's truth, and I set people free in the process.
Yes.
Yes. I love it.
And I also, okay, this is so random, but people pleasing is like, and I get it so deeply. Like, I deeply get it. And I think when we have the courage to tell the truth, we stop interrupting karma. So like, okay, wait. Maybe I'm going on this weird train, but I feel safe to do it here. But it's like, okay, if you are, let's say somebody asks you to do something and it really doesn't feel like a no in your system, but it's like, I don't know, maybe they want you to pick them up from the airport, but you have a really important work day, and they can easily take an Uber, and it's a serious inconvenience. And maybe this person hasn't been that good of a friend to you, and you feel this like deep urge to go pick them up in the middle of the airport, even though it's like totally inconvenient. Like, let's just people pleaser scenario that occurred in my brain.
Yeah.
when you do something that's actually not aligned for you, you interrupt karma. Do you know what I mean? So like that person, or like you interrupt the natural flow of consequences for actions.
Yes. I get it.
And so it's like, sometimes I'm like, am I explaining this? I don't know. I'm like in this realm over here and I'm trying to like translate it into words. But it's like people, in order to grow, people need to feel the consequences of their actions. And when we people please, we're like trying to save them from the consequences of their actions, rather than just like, if we tell the truth, then it's like they have more of an opportunity to learn.
Yeah. And it stunts their growth. Yeah.
Yes. Ooh, that's a good way of putting it. I think I just said it in this like really convoluted way, and you just like
picked it up. I picked it up.
I love it.
Good. Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful interpretation of it. And like doing that inside of your business, inside of, even having
easier said than done though. Like it's way easier. This is like the deepest programming. So I don't mean to be like blah blah blah. Like it's so deep. It's such deep work. It's intense. Yeah.
It is. And it's a constant choice, like I said, I totally operated from my programming of people pleasing and caring what people think when I was going to go shit in the bathroom. But then I was like, no, I'm going to consciously choose not to do this.
I'm so proud of you.
So fun. Okay, so let's talk about the spiritual awakening that you've just kind of experienced. Yeah, what was it like for you?
Well, I got really sick with COVID and was just in a lot of pain, and it was really bad. Speaking of stomach issues, I was like nauseous for weeks and throwing up, and it was horrible. Like it was like, and I don't know, it was kind of funny. Like a couple times during that time, I was mostly off social media, but I went online, and it was really interesting to see just the frequency of the online world, and like certain people, like I would go to their page and I would want to throw up.
Yeah.
And other people I wouldn't. And I was like, wow, like Naja doesn't lie. Like, you know what I mean? Like this person is not good for me, or this is not. So that was interesting. And then I don't know, it just feels like there was a level of complicity with certain toxic practices in the coaching industry, because I have so many friends, like I've been in this industry for a long time. I've hired all the big coaches. I've been in masterminds with a lot of people. I have a lot of friends in this online space. And there's this code we have as women, as like, don't ever say anything that a friend might take as mean, or like, don't be mean is like the number one code of women in the coaching industry. Like, don't be a mean girl, I think. And I've had so many amazing, beautiful experiences with coaching, and I've had a couple experiences that have not been really that way. And I didn't really speak up about it because I feel like there's this thing where it's like, if you ever criticize a coach, you're just a jealous hater. You're negative. You're not willing to look at your triggers. You're whiny. It's like it's that, and it must be you, not them. And I'm trying to remember what activated it. Well, one thing was I was listening. I love Simone Soul. She's been just like a beautiful mentor of mine. And I was listening to one of her podcasts, and she was talking about some of the dark sides of the coaching industry, and that really inspired some things. And then I just kept seeing things around me where like, I was like, this is so toxic and abusive. And I would just hear clients like come on the phone and just be like, after reading a post from somebody else, just feel like shit, or like come to me with these like really toxic experiences from coaches that, again, like I don't know how conscious they are, but I just felt like this really intense, like, nope, I have to say something, and I actually like can say something, and I feel like very safe in the online space. Like I don't know what it is, or what it's telling your truth for a long time or whatever, but it's like I felt like I need to speak up about some of this stuff, even though some of my friends, genuine friends who I've known for a long time, we've kind of come up together in the online world, might like really not like it. And I just was like, you know what? Like, I'm not here on Instagram for my peers or even my past mentors. I'm here for my soulmate clients, and a lot of them are being harmed. And I just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Clearly, directly, and just, this is what I think. This was my experience. X, Y, and Z was not okay. There's a lot of emotional suffering. A lot of people are profiting off of emotional suffering and just a siphoning energy. And so I said some things pretty directly. And
Yeah.
I feel good about it.
Yeah, well, you should. You absolutely should, because the thing is like you said, I call it what I can't remember the quote, but it's like politeness is what gets a woman killed, I think is the
Ooh,
saying. Yeah. I don't know who said it, so
that's
sorry.
powerful.
But
Yeah.
it's so true in so many ways. I mean, in life in general, right? Like think about how many times you felt uncomfortable in a situation, but you didn't want to be rude, so you just were okay, it's fine. Like
just laugh it off, or it must be me. Like I just dressed too seductively. So like,
yes,
God, I made, you know what I mean? It's my fault. Yeah.
exactly. And that same wound it plays out in our industry and with our huge sister wound, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like you said, it's like so much of you just wanting to be real about your experiences. Like it's it's not to say that those people are bad or wrong or malicious or, whatever the case, but it's calling light on things so we can actually shift gears and like do better.
Yeah. And one of the areas, as you're speaking, something else came through. One of my values is like creating rich women, rich spiritual women. And there's a lot of, I think, financial just like fuckery in the coaching industry. And so, I've really changed. I mean, a couple years ago, I was 42K in debt, credit card debt, and I was which isn't bad, but it just was the situation. And I was actually earning 6 figures a year, and that was the case. And some of the reason of that is some of the toxic messaging, to me, I consider toxic messaging around money and investing in the coaching industry.
Yeah.
And now I'm just, I've had multiple 6-figure cash months this year. Like I'm really in overflow. I have, a fat bank account. I have an abundance of clients. I like am just like in a lot of overflow. And one of the biggest things I did was not instantly spend all my money all the time.
Yes.
And nobody talks about this. And I would rather slow down sales to me, but actually get people into a space of genuine abundance. And I just think like there's some messaging that's just become so normal. It's accepted in the coaching space. I'm not trying to shame anyone, but it's not helpful for a lot of people. And a lot of people are investing in coaching faster than they're earning over and over and over again. And there's messaging that's like, if you're not always investing at your edge in high ticket coaching, that you hate success and won't be successful. And it's false, and it's harmful for a lot of people. And it's I think we actually like a major thing that moved the needle was having boundaries around my spending, sacred honoring boundaries.
Yeah.
And most coaches won't talk about it because it doesn't help their bottom line immediately, but it actually creates wealth in women in the coaching industry. So if you care about this industry long-term and long-term relationships with your clients and them actually getting wealthy, then I think it's important to talk about this stuff. So I think the money piece is really important to me because I have had a very big transformation in my own financial reality, both inside and the actual amount in the bank and what I'm earning. And a big part of that was going against a lot of things that I was preached in the beginning that I just believed, because like you believe the most successful woman in the room has the most access to truth, right? And I don't believe that anymore.
Yeah. I love that you speak to that, because I know everyone who's listening to this has been sold to and has been told, like, invest in yourself, right? Which
is a beautiful message. And yes,
100%.
but also you like Yeah, keep going. I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
No, it's so good. I was just also going to say, like, there's also more to investing in yourself than just hiring a mentor or a coach. Like I'm in a season right now where I'm scaling my team. So my investment is going towards that. And I'm not working with the mentor. I'm integrating everything that I just learned with the mentor.
Yeah.
And those spaces are so fucking important, right? That self-trust and self-leadership that is developed during those times. Like,
yeah. No, it's so true. And I just think a lot of people believe everything the woman who's making the most money says, and it's not, it might be her truth, but it's not always applicable. And it's really important to develop discernment of what's actually right for you next.
100%. Yep. Ooh, been there. Totally been there. Yeah. So good. Okay. I have one more question for you.
This is so fun. I've just loved this chat. You feel like such a soul sister, like truly having the best time talking to you.
Likewise. I know, like I said, I'm like, we'll probably get lost, but of course I look up and we're like 45 minutes in.
It's perfect.
So I want to know what you would say to the woman who is really just starting with, like, maybe she's posted here and there, but maybe she really overcomplicates content. Maybe she doesn't know how to open that channel. What would you say to that person?
I would say you're on the right track. It takes tremendous courage to even start. Like, do you realize what a bad bitch you are? Like, I'm so deeply proud of you. I'm so deeply proud of you, and you should be deeply proud of yourself and keep going. Talk to God or the universe or the divine as often as possible. Create, like, what do I want to say? Create a context for your life that's like, I'm always growing, and everything, I believe that everything that happens in my reality is getting me closer to everything I want. I invite you to adopt that and love people and trust the process. And you're going to look around. If you keep doing that, you're going to look around 5 years from now and be like, what in the actual F happened? I'm in awe. I'm in awe of my life. And that's coming for you. And surround yourself with people who like really love you and like really believe in you. Like the people you're around, that they're like genuinely loving and supportive, like consciously seek out those people, whether it's mentors or friends or whatever. I think your immediate surroundings are important.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
So amazing. And I also just want to say that just because it's such a beautiful like mirror of like I said, I'm all about, I love the aesthetic. It feels like art for me, right?
It's so beautiful.
And it's so beautiful. And you can also not be that, right? You can also, screenshot. I loved your, it was one post that you created, but it was like, I'll totally butcher it, but it's like, I just take a screenshot of what I put on my notes and slap it on a Canva template and boom, like,
that's what I do.
I was like, it gets to be that simple too.
Yeah.
And you can be both, because I will say I am so fucking both.
I love it. I think it's like, it's really about like, if it feels expansive and beautiful to your soul, then that's the direction to go. And if it feels like, oh, this is slowing me down, I just can't, like then don't do it. Like, it's really, there's no rules. There's just whatever you want. So.
Yep. Throw that rule book out. There really isn't one. Totally. So good. All right. Well, I know you said Instagram is obviously where you hang out the most, and the spelling will be in, but is there anything else you want to share with them as far as where they can hang out with you?
Yeah. Well, I have an email list, so you could sign up. I basically have this 2-part masterclass called Quantum Leap through Instagram. And I did it right after I had a really big quantum leap about a year ago. And I went from, will I hit 30K this month, to my first 100K cash month in the span of a couple days, in the span of years and years, but like that switch happened in a couple days. And there was a really specific and also right before then I went from growing by like maybe 100 a month on Instagram to like 1,000 plus a month. I just had a big quantum leap in my results. And I believe I think that I create all of my results. So I went back and I was like, what were the thoughts and what were the actions that created this shift. And I documented the entire thing in this 2-part masterclass, and it's totally free. And I believe success leaves breadcrumbs. And so the 2-part masterclass is my breadcrumbs. It's totally free. Highly recommend. So you can get there, and then you'll be on my email list for all the things.
So good. I took it. I did it, and it was amazing.
Did you?
I totally did. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
So amazing. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much. You are just such a delight and so fun and so powerful. And just thank you again for doing this work and really paving the way of authenticity and truth and real fucking life. You're just very refreshing.
Oh, I'm so glad to be connected to you, and you just feel like such a soul sister. And I'm so honored to be here and talk to you guys. So thank you.
All right, my loves. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with someone who you think could benefit from this conversation. And maybe even take a little screenshot, share it on Instagram, and tag Rebecca and I, and we'll just love you up. So I love you. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you soon.